Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about not reindeer games, but Baby Reindeer, the series, limited series on Netflix. Absolutely insane, especially what's happening on Piers Morgan with his interview. Now, I wanted to give you my analysis of what I actually think is happening. I haven't heard anyone talk about this before. I think people may be going down the wrong road in terms of figuring out what's the truth. So I'm gonna give you my full analysis of what I think is actually happening here. So I'm gonna cut straight to the chase. I'm not gonna lead you on and drag things out and put things at the end of the video. I'm gonna get straight to it and tell you that one of the biggest things that comes to my mind is publicity stunt. Number two is hyperbole. Let me explain. So I think that this could be a publicity stunt. The question is, obviously, this is a conspiracy theory, right? The question is, how big is the conspiracy in terms of how many people are involved in this? Because there are ways that this could be a conspiracy and Netflix could not be involved. And the way that would work is, so this comedian guy, potentially, and the woman concoct this scheme to, we're gonna create this scandalous story that's gonna get a lot of attention and we'll make a lot of money from it. They could basically deceive Netflix. He can claim that he has all the evidence and this is truth, and they question him because they don't want the liability. Like, are you sure? And you have all this stuff, and if she tries to say it's not true, you're prepared to whatever, and then they don't actually examine his supposed evidence, right? And they go forward actually believing that what he's saying is true, but he's actually scamming Netflix, right? So Netflix goes along, so they go and they say not based on a true story, they say, this is a true story, right? Because they feel like they trust this guy, and they're protected, right? Because he has evidence that this actually happened, right? So that's how Netflix could possibly not be involved. And this woman, I would want to look into her past and see if she has any past in terms of any kind of acting or performance, because obviously that's involved. You don't have to necessarily have a background in acting, but that'd be a little bit incriminating if this person was an actor to some degree, or some kind of performer, because she's got to go on the news and pretend like, oh, I don't know what's happening and they're lying about me. What? Meanwhile, she's in on it, and between her and the guy, they're cashing in. The only thing is, the problem I have with that is, even if that were the case, why would they? So even though let's say you trust this guy, right? He says he has the evidence, and you're like, okay, so it's a true story. He has the evidence. Why would you go all out and say it's a true story, giving yourself no wiggle room whatsoever? Like, that's not even a normal thing. I've never really even seen. I can't recall seeing that. Usually, I see based on a true story, and they said based on a true story, then the hyperbole would be expected and understood, right? Whenever they have these based on true stories, they will modify certain details for I don't know what the term is they use, but it's for cinematic purposes or entertainment purposes, to keep it interesting, right? If they stick to just the truth, it might not be as compelling a story as if they sort of embellish certain details, maybe the person, was a person who kind of, was known to be a ladies' man and having multiple girlfriends. And then to make it more interesting, you go and you have them doing orgies or something. And there was no orgies, right? But that's like making it more interesting. Or maybe there's some drama between, this person, one of the women he slept with is actually his best friend's girlfriend or whatever. Never actually happened, but it draws the audience in. That's understood. That's the based on a true story like setup. But they chose to say it's actually a true story. Now, Netflix is not some new company. They have tons of lawyers. They have certainly been in legal situations before. They know how this stuff works. Their attorneys know. So I'm sure there was a process where they vetted this stuff before putting it out, and their lawyers would have known the implications of simple things like based on a true story versus actual true story. So that they would do that suggests to me that they, for some reason, didn't have any fear of any, like, getting sued or anything like that. And why would that be? Now, if they're all in it together, that would explain it, right? If you know that she's not going to sue you because she's involved and she's getting paid, then, that would make sense why you wouldn't be fearful. But even if that was the case, again, why would you, like, you don't have to put based on, like, people, that's not even a detail that people really even care about, right? Piers Morgan pointed out, that's not something people are really going to focus on, right? Why not just do the standard based on a true story, right? Even knowing that there's no risk because she's involved. So that's kind of strange. Now, beyond that, in terms of my analysis of her, she definitely seems a little bit suspicious. And just keep in mind, I am sort of, I'm not just highlighting one particular theory. I'm giving an analysis on a few different possibilities which could be true. So potentially the actual truth is based on bits and pieces of different things that I'm saying right now. The thing is, what actual combination is the right combination? But I think most of what I'm presenting enough pieces that can make most of the complete puzzle, right? But again, it's which pieces, right? So I think the way she presents herself in an interview definitely seems like someone who might be like the kind of person that's illustrating the story. In fact, I think Daily Mail is reporting that after their interview with her, they got like 50 emails from her, 50 phone calls, one of the two. So this is getting along with aligning with the behavior of the person in the story. So this is like further evidence that this is based on a true story, right? They didn't label it as such, but it seems like it's based on a true story because she seems like the type. And then notice how when like the video I did earlier where he asked her about her grades, what are her grades? He must have asked her 6 or 7 times, and every single time she's evading and dodging and diving and just that kind of behavior to me kind of aligns with the character in the story. So something else I think about is that there's potentially a lot of truth to this, but it's a lot of hyperbole. So and this is something that liars like to do. So if someone did something wrong and they get exposed for it, and while you're exposing them, you mix up certain details, they are so happy about that, right? So it's like you robbed the bank, and I'm saying you robbed the bank, right? And you're like, no, I didn't rob the bank. I didn't rob the bank. And then you say something like, because they said the guy who robbed the bank was wearing a green shirt, and I remember yesterday you were wearing a green shirt, and the person actually was wearing a blue shirt, right? So there's something that you're saying that's actually true. Now, they did rob the bank, so most of what you're saying is true, but you messed up on the color of the shirt. Like, no, that's not true. No way. I was wearing a blue shirt. That's false. You're lying. Like, they love that. They want to get all animated and aggressive and so whatever, because here's something, and potentially they can prove it, right? I have people, you'll see me on camera wearing a different color shirt, right? So, some of the details, like for example, her being arrested, people looked into it. They don't see any record of this woman being arrested. So that could be one of the embellishments, right? Maybe he had made a complaint and charges were filed and dismissed, and then it was maybe because it was dismissed. I don't know how their legal system works. Maybe that's not a public record because she didn't get convicted of anything. There's so many different angles of what actually happened, and then he, for storytelling purposes, took it to the next level, like, oh, she got convicted. So like that's actually false, and she would love to talk about that, love to focus on it, because that's something that would actually be false. So if she actually was a stalker and she actually did send a ton of emails, she actually did do a lot of crazy stuff, but she didn't get arrested, then it's like, yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, I never got arrested. Oh, you can check, you want to check, look into it, investigate it, do me a lie detector test, right? So anything like that where it actually is false, she's going to be very animated and very eager to like show, because that helps her case, right? She can say like, that wasn't true, and we proved it wasn't true, that wasn't true, and proof wasn't true, so the whole thing is not true, when in reality, a lot of it was true. It's just those couple things were wrong because he added some extra details in there. So I don't know, but that's my assessment of it. I think potential publicity stunt. The question is how many people are involved. I think it's also interesting that she's the only one that's speaking. He's not speaking. The guy who wrote this, who she supposedly was stalking, so we don't have his point of view. Now, it could be because of legal reasons. Netflix could also be telling him don't speak because potential lawsuits, right? And that is if there is potential lawsuits, because obviously a potential lawsuit means that she's not in on it. Right, so those are my thoughts. Tell me what you guys think. I think it's kind of wild, and I'm really curious to know ultimately what the real truth is. I don't know. Will we ever find out what the truth is? I mean, this is big, man. Netflix is involved in this. So if she actually goes after them, that'll be insane because we'll get discovery. But I'm very curious to see if she doesn't go after them. That kind of adds a little bit of credibility to my theory that it's kind of a setup, and Netflix is involved as well. So they are doing what they're doing because they know she's not going to go after them, right? Why would she not go after them? Apparently, slander laws in the UK are much stronger than in the United States. So based on what we know so far, especially the fact that they show her being convicted, that can easily be proved. And if that is proved to be false, right, she has a good potential case of showing that this is their, and then she's getting harassed and threatened, right? So it's a bad look. And she could make a lot of money from this, potentially. She sues for damages, whatever. So if she doesn't sue them, I don't know, man. That's not gonna be a good look for Netflix. Why would she not sue them unless they're all involved and it's all the publicity stunt? Tell me what you think. This is Baby Channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well.